Any obstacle you must face, you always take the good and bad together and just go along. This quote is written and said by my Grandpa Gene to his kids and grandkids. When my sisters and I go over to Grandpa's house, we'd be looking forward to the interesting stories, great food, and fun we'd have in his home. Maybe that's it. When we see him, he puts everyone before himself. To the world, he's Gene Rosenberg, but to me, he's Grandpa. On March 9, 1949, Gene Rosenberg was born to Alfred Rosenberg and Catherine Jepkes. He had blonde hair and blue eyes. He was the third middle child born out of his 5 other siblings: Larry, Bruce, Joan, Mary, and Steve. His dad was a farmer and his mom was a nanny and a cat factory owner at K Products. His grandpa Jake worked on a railroad and his grandpa Joanna worked as a farm wife. He had lived on a farm near Ellsworth, Minnesota. His mom made the best chicken and roast, and all his siblings loved that meal. The most memorable times he had together as a family were going on picnics, seeing his cousins, and playing Monopoly and checkers with his siblings. His favorite toy was his BB gun, and he remembers having BB gun fights with his brothers, but Bruce ruined that by getting shot in the rear, and his parents hung the BB guns up in the garage with wires. At 6, his chores were driving horses out of bundle wagons and other farm chores that he did with his siblings. He did not have any accidents out on the farm, but he did have a buddy, Byron Hendricks, who passed away from a farm accident. He says that's about the saddest moment he had. Gene had lots of different animals on the farm, and he especially remembered his first horse Rex, who he had loved very much. He also had a lot of dogs on the farm as well. His dog Shep was one of his favorites because he always remembered yelling his name. Gene attended school in Ellsworth, Minnesota. He started when he was 6 years old because there was no kindergarten. His favorite subjects were lunch, recess, and math. One of his favorite teachers in elementary school was his 6th grade teacher, Mrs. Welzenbach. She treated everyone the same and was like a grandma to all of them. Each day he rode the school bus to school and back. There were many extracurricular activities in school, but he couldn't participate in them because he had too many farm chores. When Gene was a teenager, he would describe himself as a responsible person who cared about other people just like his brother Larry. In those years, the worst moment he had was when he went on a ride with Les Schweitzer and he went way too fast, which scared him because he thought they were going to crash. His first job that he had when he was a teenager was when he helped his neighbors bale hay. He also worked at different plants building fire trucks, farm equipment, milk trucks, and countertops. He always had worked with something metal because says he wasn't very good with wood. His favorite job he says he ever had was when he built fire trucks. He learned a lot from all of his jobs, and the most important skill was how to get along with other people. His favorite school memory was when he saw his diploma was actually signed. Gene met Karen, his wife, on a blind date set up by their friends. They were married on March 31st, 1973, and their wedding colors were light blue and dark blue with red roses and a lot of food. Along with their wedding, they enjoyed doing many different things together. Gene and Karen like to visit their daughters' houses and stay and drink coffee. They have recently gone to Germany twice and Kansas to see their youngest daughter's new baby girl. One of Gene's hobbies is going camping and traveling. He has owned 2 different campers and he usually stays around Adrian, Iowa. He likes camping because it is a time to relax and just enjoy being a family. He also likes attending his grandkids' programs and sport events when he gets invited to them. Something Gene would change about his life is if he could invest in a stock market so he could be rich. But there isn't really anything else he would change because he says he's got it pretty good with the way he has it, with the people he loves and whom loves him. A quote he also always told his kids when they were younger was, "Marry a rich one, you can always learn to love." His kids would always roll their eyes to the top of their heads whenever he told them that. Although he teases his grandkids and kids a lot, he still loves them all the same. Gene has impacted many people's lives. His family has had many memories with him and have learned many skills from him. His daughters always talk about their favorite times with their dad. Shanna is the oldest child, and she has always been so proud of her dad because he would always make time to spend with her and her sisters. She remembers that he would always work hard but still made time for family in the smallest of times. And with that, he was and still is a pretty patient person who cares more about other people rather than himself. On snow days, her dad would always want homemade ice cream, and he would grow really good meals for her and her sisters. He also taught them how to drive in the pastures when they got older. Michelle was the second oldest and always remembers the times her dad would come inside from work and just be exhausted. She says that her dad is the hardest working person she has ever met in her life. She remembers when her dad was outside milking cows long before sunrise. He never acted defeated by his overwhelming life commitments. He just kept going. He was the master of the 20-minute power lunch hour nap. He would lay on the hard kitchen floor with his hat over his face and immediately fall asleep. When the timer went off, he would jump up and run out the door and keep going. At the end of the day, there was no award or bonus check for his dedication and perseverance. The most important skill she has learned from her dad was that she has very high expectation in the qualities of work she does. Just like her dad, Michelle says that her dad loved dancing. When she was in 5th grade, her teacher was in a local band that played 50s and 60s music. They played this one Saturday night, and her dad went to it, and the following Monday her teacher announced in class that her dad was quite the dancer. He referred to him as Gene the Dancing Machine. Kristen was the second youngest and always remembers all the hard work her dad did. Her dad taught her how important it is to work and that you need to go even if you are sick. She remembers when he would get up early to milk cows and would not go to bed until the work was done. Her favorite memories with him was when she was 11 and he let her drive the tractor while he stacked bales of hay. That night he took her out to eat and to a movie. That was a few weeks before her dad got married. Bethany was the youngest and was glad she was because she loved spending time with just her dad while her sisters were at school. Something her dad told her every day was to always work hard and to never give up. It doesn't matter how tired you are. If you want things in life, you have to work for it. Things just don't get handed to you for free. Her favorite memory with her and her dad was when he would take her in the truck to the gas station in Conneranzi. She would get a candy bar and a pop for a treat. It was usually just her and her dad because all her sisters were in school and she wasn't old enough to go yet. There would be times they also rented VHS tapes to watch together too. Something Gene hopes he is remembered for is that he had worked hard at his job and left with a good impression. Also, he hopes that he taught all his children and grandchildren that any obstacle you must face, you always take the good and bad together and just go along. My Grandpa Gene was the hardest working man that put people before himself. He impacted many people's lives and always had time for family and friends with all the work he did. Thank you to my grandpa for always putting a smile on my face and many others. To the world, he is Gene Rosenberg, but to me, he is the most hardest working man that I have ever met, and I am very proud to call him my grandpa.